It's not about good or bad or right or wrong. The trickster is an energy that shows up when things are going really well. It introduces chaos, and chaos is part of life. The trickster is bad when you can't tolerate chaos. When it takes up space inside an individual's psyche, which is what I think we're seeing right now. The danger of a genuine narcissist is they don't actually have an ego center. They are ripe for archetypal takeover. It doesn't have to be the trickster, it could also be the god of war, which I think we're seeing in another person who is in a position of power right now. That there's this sort of pugilistic fight for fight's sake thing going on. And when you don't have a center, archetypes can take up space. This is true at the collective level as well. If we don't have a collective center, if we don't have something that we're organized around, genuinely, it's not enough to give lip service to it. The Constitution, for example, was this organizing document. It is Apollonian to its core. We are going to create a nation of laws and systems and structures, and we are going to organize around it, and we agree that this is what we're doing. The trickster will show up when you become over-reliant on it. The more perfect you start trying to be, the more the trickster has room to come and play in the shadows. If it goes far enough from the center, the trickster can become pervasive. Like if it's not a dance partner, it's very easy to make it an adversary. So this is it's not just biblical, it's the idea of Satan, the idea of the devil, the idea of Lucifer. You can look at the Garden of Eden. The trickster is the serpent, right? The serpent is maybe telling the truth, maybe not. But the Garden of Eden, humans hanging out, we're just gonna hang out forever. And the trickster's like, no, you need to eat something. And so says, hey, here's this thing. Don't you want to try it? So what really the trickster is there to do is get things moving. The trickster is the beginning of the human story. Eve says, yeah, I'll taste your fruit. And suddenly we have consciousness. And then our modern perception, if we're not looking at it mythically, if we're looking at it through this good evil thing, the serpent is the bad thing that prevented humans from living in eternal childhood. This is the trickster story. Oh, we hate that because we didn't want to suffer. Well, I'm sorry, you're alive. Welcome to life. Suffering is built in. Life is hard sometimes. And it's filled with pain. It comes with grief because there's death. And if you love someone and they die, you're going to grieve, and that's painful. And humans don't want pain. And with pain, you also get all of this joy. It's all of it. The trickster is also an opportunity to see the world as it is. And I think there's something really powerful in this. So there's this story from Nigeria, the Yoruba people. Eshu is a trickster figure in their folklore. Eshu had a magical hat. And on one side of the hat, it's all white. And on the other side of the hat, it's all black. And you can only see one at a time. There are these two farmers, and they're the best of friends, and they're neighbors, and their property line borders on one another. And they've never quarreled. They have the best relationship. Everything is just all hunky-dory. And Eshu says, that's interesting. And so to have a little bit of fun, Eshu puts on his magical hat and walks down the property line between them and waves hello. And later that day, the two farmers are talking with one another, and farmer number one says, hey, did you see that strange man with the white hat? And farmer number two says, oh yeah, I saw a strange man, but he was wearing a black hat. And farmer one says, it was a white hat. No, it was a black hat. What are you trying to gaslight me? And they start having this huge quarrel about who sees what. And finally, they come to blows until the leader of the town says, hey, 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 break it up. What is happening here? He's lying about the color of the hat. No, he's lying about the color of the hat. And so Eshu is watching all of this from a distance. And so now, as sunset comes along, Eshu decides to walk again. But this time he's turned the hat, so each one sees the other color. And so the farmers come together again and they say, oh, I saw him, and you're right, it was a black hat. And the other farmer says, no, you are messing with me. It was a white hat. And they start fighting about it again. And again, the leader of the town comes in and says, hey, is this important? And that's where one version of the story ends. There's another version of it where Eshu reveals himself. I'm always suspicious of folk tales where it's resolved. I think that's probably a modern convention. But Eshu says, what have you learned from this? See, it's a weird hat. But I don't think we usually get to see the weird hat. I think we usually have to come to terms with we have different perspectives on things. And we really are seeing what we're seeing, and they are seeing what they are seeing. And this can be wielded. I think there's a real trickster game going on right now. There are the idea of left versus right or red versus blue keeps us from that this is actually being deliberately wielded through media. They're making sure that one group is seeing one thing and the other group is seeing something else, so they cannot agree on reality. If you're able to step back and go, hold up, I can only see what I can see. I have algorithms feeding me what I'm already inclined to see. Someone else is seeing something else that's also mediated through an algorithm. We do not have a common set of facts. We are in trickster territory, so we have to stop. And now there's an opportunity to get with what do I know? Do you remember the dress, the infamous dress? That dress caused divorces. That dress caused huge fights. Sociologists are still studying that phenomenon. It's biological. Like, different people see it differently. For me, it was a black and blue dress. When someone said it's gold and white, I'm like, no way. And now I'm saying, maybe I have it backwards. It was white and gold. In my mind, I can now flip it. But if I look at the picture, my brain will default to one and I cannot see the other. Talk about a trickster moment. I don't remember when that happened, but it's almost like the trickster announcing that he's here. It's so on the nose. It created a whole course of study into why people tribalize. We're going to get a lot of information. The trickster brought that to light. I don't know that the trickster is just having a good time. The trickster isn't trying to, well, it is trying to fuck with things, but the trickster doesn't have any sense of consequence. The trickster is an immortal concept. And when humans start taking themselves too seriously, trying to be too perfect, or holding on to something they can't hold on to anymore, the trickster can come in. Trickster does come in. And it's an invitation to look at reality. The trickster likes abstractions. When Charlie Kirk was murdered, I saw people who I really like and appreciate saying things like good. I found this really disturbing. To be excited about the death of another human being is so deeply inhumane. I don't care who it is. I really don't care. You've given up your own human identification when you do that, is how I see it. I understand why they feel that way, but I think that's the trickster world. The trickster has allowed you to dehumanize someone, has encouraged you to make them their beliefs or one part of their beliefs. You've been hypnotized to focus on this one part of the hat. And now they're bad and evil and wrong. They're a bad person. And relationships, which are rooted in different archetypes, Aphrodite, love, passion, creativity, eros, sexual attraction, magnetism, Aries can be like a combatant and a good sparring partner. It's this brotherhood, this sense of camaraderie, like we're in this together. These are other archetypes that do champion solidarity. In the presence of the trickster, our shared humanity can be at risk. The trickster in the realm of relationships can start to compromise the integrity of those relationships. That's what the trickster does. It compromises, it undermines integrity. This is why I think of Apollo as being the primary antidote, because Apollo about light and truth and integrity. And even Zeus, the executive function of the psyche, the one who gives Hermes his job. Hermes has more jobs than just the trickster. The trickster is a part of his personality that he won't always tell the whole truth. But part of what happens, part of the way that works is, so you think about what the trickster role is, or think about what the messenger role is. You're a messenger of the gods or a messenger of the king, and your job is to take the king's message and deliver it somewhere and have it be received in a way that's going to reflect positively on the king. You are reasserting the king's power as the messenger. But you also have a mischievous streak and you kind of want to play with it. And so you might be able to cause real trouble by delivering the message in a way that it isn't well received. Or you could manipulate it a little bit and you can create all of this strife in interpersonal relationships and in power dynamics. This is where the trickster can function. There's another story. I don't know where this one's from, but it's the story of the moon. Humanity is getting very concerned about death. They're suddenly aware that they're going to die. What happens after they die? Does life keep going or is it over? And the moon sees this concern happening. And so the moon speaks to a hare, a rabbit, and says, hey, I have a message and I want you to give this to humanity. Tell humanity that just like the moon waxes and wanes, so too does life continue after the new moon. And your life will also continue in cycles. So the hare takes the message and hops off to Earth. And then, being harebrained, when it delivers the message, it says, the moon said to tell you that just like the moon goes dark at the end of a cycle, you're going to die. And so humanity freaks out. And so humans, this is the story of the fear of death that humans experience. So the trickster created this rift. What's the truth? I like to trust the moon in that story. The shared humanity never goes away. There's something about this world right now. I really think if there's a god of the internet, it is Hermes. It's just all so trickster. Everything is the algorithms, the divisions, all of these stories, the internet, and specifically the Web 2.0, the Facebooks and Instagrams, the algorithm-driven things. It really is leveraging the trickster for control and power and manipulation. One way the trickster gets in is through fear. Fear is a pathway that it can ride in on and exploit and foment. And it's that fear, that defensiveness of a position, that rigidity. By talking about the energy, first of all, it invites it into the room so we get to see it, we get to feel it, we get to notice its effects. And then we get to notice what's absent. Apollo. Maybe also Hephaestus, that part that just does the work, the grind day after day. The blacksmith of the gods. He makes Zeus's lightning bolts, and he has a lame leg, but he goes to his workshop every day. He's the god of craftsmen. He's the god of the forge, and he just does what needs to be done day after day after day. And he's married to Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. And so there's this relationship there between work and love and passion. And again, there we get craftsmanship, which I think is another Antidote, the trickster needs a job. Who is sending this message? He's the messenger. He should not be the one deciding what messages get delivered. That's not his job. His job is to deliver the messages. He's wielding power that is not his. That's why I say trickster on the throne. This is not an appropriate role. He's gone beyond the bounds of his role.